Joe Flacco eats his words. Will he mentor Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel after all? The 18-year veteran had previously refused to teach the Browns rookies. The battle for the Cleveland Browns' starting quarterback job is heating up. With the stakes growing higher by the day, the four contenders must tread carefully on and off the field, as Joe Flacco just found out after retracting his earlier blunt remarks. Now entering his 18th professional season, Flacco has led the Browns' depth chart throughout the offseason, ahead of fourth-year QB Kenny Pickett and rookies Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. On Monday, the team confirmed that Flacco will be the unofficial starter for their first preseason game. In this high-pressure environment, Flacco has tried to maintain composure aside from some regrettable mid-off-season comments, when he said mentoring young quarterbacks wasn't part of his job. The statement stirred controversy, and Flacco has now been forced to soften his stance. Flacco walks back his May comments. "I'm not a mentor. I play football," Flacco said in May, summarizing a lengthy explanation about his role on the team. However, he recently conceded, "Listen, I can be an *SS, but not necessarily in that way." In an interview with Michael Silver of The Athletic, Flacco clarified his stance further. "I feel like I try to be a good person, so all I can do is do my job to the best of my ability. If that means I'm not the guy, well, yeah, I might feel a certain way about it, but I'm not going to be bitter toward others who didn't do anything to me." In his own way, Flacco acknowledged a mentoring role. "That quarterback room is a sacred room. I think you've got to treat people right in that room and help them anything to help the team." Joe Flacco wants the starting job, not just the mentor role. His quiet acceptance of a mentor role doesn't mean he's stepping aside. On the contrary, he insists he's still in peak condition. "I mean, I think everybody's probably a little unrealistic when evaluating themselves," Flacco said. "But I'm honest with myself. Maybe I'm not my 29-year-old self, but I feel really good. I feel I can still move, and my arm is everything it's ever been." In short, whoever wants that top spot with the Browns will have to beat the best version of Joe Flacco. There was a time, not that long ago, when Joe Flacco made it abundantly clear he wasn't here to be a mentor. Not in Baltimore, not in Denver, and certainly not now in Cleveland. He was a competitor, a Super Bowl MVP, a veteran still itching to prove he had more gas left in the tank. So when the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders and signed Dillon Gabriel in the same offseason, many expected Flacco to treat them as afterthoughts, if not direct threats. And at first, that's exactly what happened. "He's got to earn it," Flacco once said about Shedeur, the son of Deion Sanders. "This league doesn't care about your name. It's about wins." But training camp has a funny way of reshaping narratives. And by the third week, Flacco was eating his words. Not out of weakness, but out of something far more powerful: respect. It started subtly. During a steamy morning practice in Berea, Gabriel overthrew a simple wheel route. He cursed himself, slapped his thigh, and started to reset. Before the coaches could even step in, it was Flacco who jogged over. "Drop your back shoulder a little sooner," he said, adjusting Gabriel's arm angle with a casual flick of the wrist. "You're thinking too much. Just rip it." From the sideline, Shedeur watched with raised eyebrows. A few days earlier, Flacco barely acknowledged their existence outside the film room. Now he was running impromptu tutorials like a 40-year-old quarterback whisperer. Later that day, it was Shedeur's turn. Under pressure in a red zone drill, he panicked and threw the ball away instead of dumping it to the flat. Flacco, again unprompted, offered feedback. "Trust your eyes. You had 2 beats and a check down wide open. That's what the defense wants you to miss." Shedeur grinned. "Didn't think you were watching." "I'm always watching," Flacco replied, stone-faced. "Especially if you're going to steal my job." So what changed? Some insiders believe it was a conversation with head coach Kevin Stefanski, who reminded Flacco that his legacy didn't have to end with his final start. Others say it was Deion Sanders' surprise visit to Browns camp, despite Shedeur's reluctance, where the two old-school legends reportedly shared a quiet moment behind closed doors. But those closest to Flacco know the truth runs deeper. This wasn't about pressure. It was about pride, and oddly enough, hope. "He saw something in them," said Browns QB coach Drew Petzing. "Something real. You could see it in how he started staying late. How he'd linger in the film room even after his reps were done." For a quarterback known for his stoic, almost icy demeanor, Flacco's shift toward mentorship has sent ripples through the locker room. "He's cracking jokes now," said receiver David Bell. "Even called Shedeur Baby Joe the other day after a perfect corner route throw. I think the old man's finally having fun." But don't mistake mentorship for surrender. Flacco hasn't relinquished his desire to start. In fact, he's still taking first-team reps and looks sharper than many expected for someone deep into his NFL twilight. What's different now is that he's no longer seeing Sanders and Gabriel as rivals. He's seeing them as his next great passes, metaphorically speaking. "I've been in this league long enough to know how quickly things change," Flacco told reporters. "One injury, one trade, and the kid next to you is suddenly under center. If that happens, I don't want these guys out there clueless. I want them prepared. And if I can help with that, why wouldn't I?" For Shedeur, the unexpected guidance has been invaluable. "I grew up watching him," Sanders said. "Now I'm learning from him. It's surreal. And he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He tells you exactly how it is, but also how to fix it." Gabriel echoed the sentiment. "Flacco's been real with me from day one," he said. "At first, yeah, he was cold. But that's just his vet mode. Once you break through that, you realize the guy has a brain full of secrets." Flacco, for his part, isn't trying to reinvent himself as some NFL sage. He just sees a chance to pay it forward, in the way others once did, grudgingly or not, for him. "I had guys like Kyle Bowler and Troy Smith around me back in Baltimore," Flacco recalled. "They weren't saints either, but I picked things up. You take what you can. If these guys can take even one thing from me that helps them stay in this league longer, then I did my job." The biggest moment of change, however, came during a night practice under the lights. With the team huddled after a grueling 2-hour session, Stefanski offered players a chance to break down the huddle. Before anyone else could step up, Flacco nodded at Shedeur. "You got it," he said simply. Sanders blinked, surprised. Then he stepped forward. "Family on 3, he shouted, a nod to his father's oft-repeated mantra. 1, 2, 3, family. As the team jogged off the field, Flacco quietly placed a hand on Sanders' shoulder. "You did good today," he muttered. "Next time, throw the check down sooner."